Hello, everybody, and welcome to Live with Kyle and Alex, minus Kyle. He couldn't make it tonight. He had a few things to do, but so now tonight you are. I'm gonna welcome you to Kyle, and tonight I have a gentleman here that I met in 2013 in Charlotte, North Carolina, when I was living in Charlotte. One of the youngest filmmakers that I've ever met, and who's quite a guy. I think when I met him, I think he was 16 or 15 or something, and he had already done about 7 films already, and then he did a nice almost full length, 20 minutes or 25 minutes or so. But anyway, I will let you meet. Please welcome Mr. Jordan McLaughlin.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
That was quite an introduction.
How in the world are you, kiddo?
Doing so good, doing good. Good to see you. Like I said, in person, about as close as we can get.
Yes, yes. Speaking of this pandemic is kind of insane.
Ooh, yeah.
But I tell you, it is so good to see you and talk to you again, even like this. Because, I mean, when I met you back in Charlotte, you always knocked me out as a young filmmaker. I think you were, what, 15 or 16 or something?
Yeah, well, if it was 2013, then for most of the year I was 15, yeah.
Okay. And you had done a number of films by that time and wrote them and directed them and got your neighbors to star in them and you and he was in them. I mean, I saw when your dad told me about you. Speaking of Scott, how you doing, Scott? Your dad. Yeah, I just wanted to say hello. And the family, everybody. He told me about you when I was talking to him, and I thought to myself, can this young kid have done all this stuff? Then I met you, and it was true. Oh my goodness, the guy. You want to talk a young Steven Spielberg, and that's you. So, what made you start directing and getting into films and everything? How did that go?
Well, so I started just doing art, just drawing, and I mean, I think a lot of people that draw, they have sort of a similar story of like they've been drawing since before they can remember, just as kids or children, that kind of thing. And so, I mean, I still do that. That's still one of my passions. But around like 9 or 10, 4th or 5th grade, I think maybe 5th grade, is when it kind of transitioned into live action filmmaking, and it was really kind of just an excuse for my friends and I at the time, who are still some of my best friends now, that are we would just get together and write little sketches and record them. And the first thing we ever shot was it was on like a really small camera that was actually just meant to take photos, but it had like a real bad video element to it. So then upgraded to the flip camera, those little like USB chip things they used to sell in Target and stuff. So that's kind of where it started.
So how many films have you done to this point?
I haven't, well, I guess as far as narrative projects, it might be somewhere in the neighborhood of like, and these are all shorts. These are all like, maybe at the I think the longest is like 40 minutes, but most of them are around like 15, 20 minutes, maybe 10. And the narrative films, I would guess somewhere between 10 and 15. But I've also done little things, like when I was in school, I did school assignments, and I've done sort of footage for concerts or like music videos and stuff like that. So like little things here and there. But as far as just the narrative stuff, maybe like 10 or 15.
Okay. I remember the first kind of what I can remember as a longer film, I think it was 20, 25 minutes or so, was The Jacket.
Oh yeah.
Eh, The Jacket,
Yeah.
when I saw that film, and I think what at that time you were like 17 or something or
Yeah, I
18,
think 16 or 17.
and I loved that film. And it kind of like I looked at it and I kind of got a little scary there. It was a nice film. Um, and you mind if I tell what the film was about?
Yeah, sure.
It was about this, which grabbed me. It was about this couple, if I remember correct, these kids who had gone into this old house. It was a house or a barn or something, and then they were leaving, and one of them left his jacket in the barn or house or wherever it was, and he went back in to get it and disappeared. Am I correct with that?
You're pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean the plot is so convoluted. It was at a time when I was
Yeah.
trying to make something way bigger than had any capability of doing. So when the plot is attempted to be explained, it makes zero sense at all.
But
But
hey, I enjoyed it. It got me. It grabbed me. It
well,
really
I'm
did.
glad.
In the poster and the way it looked like a poster you would see at a major theater, and it was very well done, I thought.
Man.
And you also directed, what is it, the American Waste?
Yeah, that's the newest. That's the most latest project.
Right, which I saw, and I gotta say, I loved your camera work and the lighting and everything. It was really good.
Thank you. Well, I can't take even the majority of the credit for that. That was my friend Robin Deep and his camera team. They just blew it out of the park with that.
Oh,
But
they did. They did.
yeah, it was.
They definitely did. The film really, really was nice. Yeah, it worked. It definitely did work. And Local Haunts, is that a
That's
is
the project in development. That's the next in the
okay,
pipeline.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't destroy anything by mentioning that.
No. I've been vaguely sort of hush hush about it.
Well,
All I've been telling people is, well, it's my first like feature script that I've ever written. So it's I think the first draft is that we finished. I wrote it with a friend of mine that graduated a year ahead of me at my college, the North Carolina School of the Arts, and so her and I co-wrote it. And the script, the first draft, we finished like maybe a couple days ago, and it's about 113 pages. So it's around, maybe it might end up being like kind of a 2-hour movie situation.
hey, all right.
But what I've been telling people, I haven't been saying a whole lot about what it's about, but I've been telling people that it's a beach vampire movie. So take that information what you will.
Well, that sounds like something I'd like to go see. It's different. It's not your usual plot, I love it, Sounds good to me. And oh, by the way, your artwork is on the cover of this coloring book, which I ordered, by the way. I ordered your coloring book. Nice artwork. It didn't come in the mail yet. I was hoping it would come so I could show it,
Last I heard, they had like they were just starting to get, like, they had shipped maybe a couple days ago, and then I've seen people posting about it that they're getting them in the mail, but those might just be the Charlotte people, so it might take a couple more days to get all the way out to Tucson. But I heard they shipped it all out.
Okay. So what are some of the films that influence directors that you like and everything?
We could just talk the rest of the time about this, but because I could just drone on about this, but I'd say when I was first sort of starting to think that filmmaking would be something I'd be interested in, I have to say the film that kind of did it for me was the 1990s Ninja Turtles movie. Of all movies, I don't think I've ever told you that. Maybe that's a new
as a matter of
thing.
fact, I know the people that did that. Yeah, the Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
And I mean, I loved the Ninja Turtles when I was a kid, and I loved that movie specifically just because it was like, even as a kid, I kind of knew it was kind of gritty, kind of dark, and like it took itself really seriously for it being about a bunch of humanoid turtles running around New York. Like I liked how seriously it took it, but because it took it so seriously, it was kind of like self-aware that it was obviously like a ridiculous concept. But for like today, like now, the kinds of films that inspire me. I think my favorite director of all time right now is Jim Jarmusch.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
yeah.
Which you might be able to tell if you saw American Waste, because it definitely has some Jarmusch qualities.
Yes.
But,
Absolutely.
But I just love him. I discovered him maybe a year before I started school at the School of the Arts, and I think the first film I watched of his was Mystery Train, which to this day is still my favorite. I know your friend Cy Richardson.
Yes, he was in Mystery Train. Yes,
the more I think about it, Cy Richardson is kind of in some of my favorite movies. That and Repo Man.
Repo Man. He worked a lot with Alex Cox. I did Sid and Nancy with Alex Cox. He did Straight to Hell for Alex Cox. Repo Man. Alex Cox and Cy Richardson did some stuff together, you know.
He's a guy that he kind of, I don't know what happened to him. He was like, I mean, between Sid and Nancy and Repo Man and Straight to Hell, like he's got some amazing movies.
And yes, he did.
Fizzled somewhere.
Yeah, he was a great guy to work for too. Last I heard, Alex was in England doing something. But I think he's still out there, or he's doing stuff across the water, to my knowledge. But yeah, he's quite an interesting young man. Well, I don't know, but now I don't know if he's young now. He's not a Jordan or anything, but I don't think none of us are young anymore. But yeah.
I'm trying to think what else, what other films. Well, some of my favorite films are, I guess, just isolated from the directors. I really love After Hours, the Martin Scorsese movie from. It's one people don't really remember. It's like mid '80s Martin Scorsese movie, and it doesn't really feel like it's a Martin Scorsese movie. But I love that one. I love Dazed and Confused, the Richard Linklater movie. He's one of my favorite directors.
Yeah.
I love. Here's sort of a bit of a curveball from the rest of the movies I've named. I love Return of the Living Dead, the Dan O'Bannon movie from, I think it's '85.
Okay.
But it's like technically a sequel to Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead.
But it's like mid '80s, and it's like punk rock and zombies and insanity. And it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah. I think when they did Night of the Living Dead, I think that broke some ground in the black and white, in the little kind of eerie music, and
it really did, because it was like I had to do I chose to do a sort of a presentation on the significance of that movie, and just the kind of things that they were able to like accomplish on such little budget they had, because it was like a super indie movie, like came out of nowhere, and they had to shoot on black and white because of budgetary reasons, because most movies, theatrical movies were on color by that point. But it adds to the whole sort of atmosphere.
Absolutely.
And then there's the whole like so many metaphors drawn from that, and like the modern day zombie as we know it was kind of created in that movie. Like before that, zombies weren't seen as what they are now. And then there's the whole other thing of like the race side of it, and Dwayne, the main character, being an African American man at that time, like was kind of controversial at that time, but they weren't afraid to like push those boundaries. So it works on so many different fronts. It's like
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
So, speaking of music, I understand your dad Scott does a lot of the music for your films.
Yeah, he does.
And
He's actually him and a friend of his, a friend of ours, Eric Lovell, are the two of them are planning on tackling the future music of local haunts.
oh,
And he did music for the sort of noir film I did that you were in years
oh,
back, No
yes,
Charge,
no
which we
charge.
could talk about that a little bit. Your role in
Yes,
that, and
yes.
he's done
Uh,
some music and score for
yeah.
a couple other things. Another film I did called Los Hombres de la Noche, um, and just some other little shorts I've done. So yeah, he's contributed his scores for many of Jordan's projects.
Yeah, because when I met him, he was, how I met your dad, he was my daughter's son's music teacher. And I was talking to him, and then he told me about you, and we met. And then he told me he was going into soundtracks for movies, and I said, yes, you're going into a great business. It's totally amazing, and it's something that I couldn't live without. I have to do my films. I mean, films, as you know,
Yeah.
damn films are definitely something something that I would pay to do, because I love it so much.
And I think that's the only way you can really do it. If you're looking to make a fortune making movies, odds are it's not going to end up working. You got to really, I mean, everybody says it, but
Yeah.
you really got to love it.
And if you love it, the money's going to come, because you're doing what you love anyway. So you'd be doing it for free anyway,
That's true.
because you love it. So so when the money comes, oh my gosh, they're paying me for this. Of course, it's insane. You love it so much. So are there any other films that comes to mind?
I'm trying to think. I really love. I guess maybe in the section of like genres, I really love. I guess they kind of call them like hangout movies, which sometimes that term gets a bad rap. Like they think, nothing happens. They're just walking around talking to each other, and nothing happens. But I kind of have a soft spot for those kind of movies, just like, and especially movies where there's no like clear or distinct like antagonist. A movie where it's just like people just living life, and because in life there's rarely ever some like devious guy twirling his mustache in the corner like causing havoc. Like usually it's just general problems and miscommunication and whatever. So a lot of my favorite movies end up being ones where you can kind of see from everybody's point of view, like the decisions everybody makes are like you can kind of rationalize all of them. But that being said, one movie that definitely does not adhere to that rule, which I love, which is Mad Max Fury Road. Which every once in a while, I think maybe a couple weeks ago was this every once in a while was I just get back on the kick of that movie, like I just start geeking out about that movie again, because it's so crazy. I mean, that one has a very clear antagonist. The villain in that is you're supposed to like hate him, but
Yes.
just what they were able to pull off, like all the stunts and the cinematography and.
If I'm not mistaken, that was I mean, it got nominated for the best stunts in the Academy for best stunts.
I think so, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't know that happens a lot in big budget films. I don't think stuntmen are really recognized the way they should be. They put their lives on the line, and I don't know if I did my share. I did stunts for a couple of years, But these guys did it for been doing it for 40 years, so I can't call myself a stunt man. But these my hats off to these guys. They are really amazing. And looking at the stunts in that film, that
Ooh,
nice,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, my mouth was hitting the floor in the theater watching these guys. It's like, wow. You know.
And I mean, with that movie in particular, they're really out there. I mean,
Yes.
they have you know,
Yeah.
they do visual effects for some of the
Yeah.
more super extreme stuff, but a lot of those stunts, I mean, they're out
Yeah.
there in the desert
They
doing them for
actually
real.
did it. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really the only, I mean, it's kind of my personal opinion, but that's the only movie I can think of that it's the fourth movie in a franchise, and it kind of blows all the other ones out of the water, at least for me. Like, I love that one the most out of the four of them, which that's rare to see. Usually you find the more movies are made, it's sort of, they're not as good as the original, or they're not as good as the one that came before it, that kind of thing.
Right.
But
well, you do animation too. I've seen some of your animation and your cartoons and your drawings and stuff are phenomenal. And you also did some drawings for some bands and musical things. Is that
yeah. So I actually majored in animation at the School of the Arts, because I sort of, as I was sort of coming up there, my first year, I realized that the animation school is so young and so, and we have such a small class. I think my class was the largest animation class they had till that time, and we were like 11 people. So we had a lot of real hands-on, individualized attention and learning, and also they really kind of stayed off our backs where it counted. Like they kind of let us sort of blaze whatever trail we wanted to, as far as what kind of films we wanted to make and what kind of medium of animation we wanted to use. So I was very thankful for that, to be able to and that's kind of ultimately not the only reason, but a big reason why I wanted to major in animation, because I knew that I could kind of make the films I wanted to make, and kind of mix my love for drawing with my love for filmmaking. But as far as the album stuff, the album covers and stuff like that, I've done some still art for some bands and some musicians. Probably the most exciting one for me is one of my favorite bands of all time, the Growlers, which are out of California. They're this kind of beach surf rock, kind of garage rock band that I love. They're definitely my all-time favorites. But a band of a friend of mine, and sort of a family friend, called It Snakes from Charlotte, we're opening up for them at a place called the Neighborhood Theater in Charlotte, and they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do the sort of, I guess, semi-unofficial poster for that gig. So I ended up inadvertently kind of getting to do a poster for the Growlers, which was cool.
So you do freelance, so everybody out there, hey, Gordon McLaughlin.
If you want some gross-looking cartoon characters, hit me up.
He's the man, you know. Yeah. So, hey, any? By the way, you won't remember. Oh, Field of Dreams. That's kind of the old one. But
is that from the film?
Yes, it's actually from the. Do you remember the film? I know you weren't.
I think I saw it when I was real young. I remember a little bit.
Yeah, after I took a shower, I noticed this in my closet, and I said, "Wait a minute, Jordan is going to be gone." In the interest of being like Jordan, trying to go, let me do Field of Dreams, the only kind of movie one I had in the closet that I could think of. But yeah, so what's next for you? Anything?
Well, sort of in the pipeline is come maybe July, like early July. Looks like I'm going to be heading out to Los Angeles,
Okay.
your old stomping ground.
Yes, sir.
And I was supposed to be there already, but the circumstances, the shutdown, the pandemic have kind of
Yeah.
put that on hold for a bit. And I was really sort of going back and forth whether or not that was the right decision, but I figured, there were some circumstances where I kind of needed to jump on the opportunities now. They weren't going to be around for much longer, and so, and I knew I could still kind of do the same level of social distancing and staying safe there as I'm doing here. So I figured, why not? So that's kind of the biggest thing, and then just kind of starting the slow turning wheel of this feature script and just kind of
Okay.
figuring out what to do with that, but and continuing my animation work and stuff. But,
Well, I love your work, man. You're amazing. So
I-
you're dealing with the pandemic. Give us some tips on what to do during the pandemic. How do you
Well,
deal with it?
I've always said the people I've talked to about it, which at this point it's been a couple of months, so I've had the chance to talk to many people about it. I'm definitely in a very fortunate position right now. I'm in Austin, Texas, with my good friend Brian McCullum, who's been my friend since grade school, Boy Scout days. But he goes to the University of Texas, Austin, and he's in his graduate program right now. So I'm actually just staying with him. He's got an extra room in his campus apartment he's living in. And so when he was coming in for holiday break, he said, why don't you just come stay with me in Austin while you're, sort of making the plans to move out to LA. It could be kind of a middle way point. So I've been here the entire lockdown, and it's been, like I said, we're in a fortunate position because I'm just doing freelance work. So I don't need to leave the house. And all his classes were transferred to online Zoom calls, like what we're doing right now. And then his job that he works for the housing complex we live in, he's really been able to kind of do that work from home. So we've been probably a little overboard militant on how little we've left the house, and it's a good thing. I'm kind of a homebody anyway, because I can do everything I love to do from the house. I can still draw, I can still write my scripts, I can still, make plans for future projects and whatever. I mean, so that's how I've been looking at it, that I'm fortunate that I'm able to kind of be very careful while also not getting extremely bored and still finding ways to entertain myself. But and obviously been watching a lot of movies and watching a lot of shows and passing the time and all that kind of thing.
So I just got a text from somebody about Warner Brothers. How's things? What's you doing anything? Is Warner Brothers?
I wonder who that text is from.
Yeah, I did. It's a great guy named. Let me see. What is his name here? His name is Scott McLaughlin. Same last name as yours. Anyway, that's your dad. He so Scott.
But yeah, the Warner Brothers thing. My friend Ben and I, who's the guy I'm gonna be going. One of the guys I'm gonna be going out to live with, and him and I around I think the end of 2018. He had done a internship with Warner Brothers the summer before, just as a general intern doing various things for them. And then that fall, when we came back to school, he had showed his supervisor an animated film we had made that year before. And so she had saw that and she liked it, and then in November of 2018, she reached out to us and asked us if we wanted to do some sort of character designs for a show that was in development. And it seemed like it was the case of like they were sort of calling out to many different artists to get a lot of different styles of these particular characters that they wanted character designs for, so that they had a lot, like a large sort of array to choose from. So we were one of the two that they reached out to, and we did a little bit of freelance work for them, and have still yet to. All that material is under wraps, and still, I think if I try to release it, Warner Brothers will sick some dogs on me. But
that takes, I know what you mean.
But it was a lot of fun. It was, and they let us kind of run wild with it, and kind of go our own way with the designs. And, so it was a lot of fun. That's kind of sort of we're both trying to work that angle when I get out there, and maybe see if we can't do some more stuff for them, but we shall see.
So you're going to be doing, going out in
beginning of July,
Okay, yeah. That should be exciting, you know. That's you know, Warner Brothers is a nice place to work. I did quite a few films for them over there, and they're good people. Good people over there.
Yeah, it was definitely a good experience. I mean, we really did it all over email. I think I really talked to the woman we were working for only a handful of times on the phone. It was pretty much all through email. So, and even that was great. That was a good experience. So I could only imagine what sort of an in-person thing.
So hey, the world is yours now.
We'll see. We were. I've been. It was funny because I was like, well, it is a risk going out there at this time during all this, but you know, in the future, at least I can maybe say, hey, I moved to LA during a worldwide pandemic. Like, that's a story to tell. Why not?
Absolutely. Life is full of stories, and life is a risk anyway. You're gonna. It's a risk when you go to bed at night that you might. It's you can't worry about what might happen because you just only have the moment that we're living in at this moment, and deal with it and move on. You know, and it's life, and deal with it. You know, absolutely. Yeah. So, where can people find you? You know, get your some addresses. Not addresses.
Right. Yeah. That one I'll keep to myself. Well, actually, I'm gonna move soon, so I could give the address I'm at right now and just.
But you know,
my friend will be the only one here.
Yeah, your Instagram, or how can people reach you? Somebody wants some of those great drawings, or want to get in touch with you for to direct that $1 billion film. How do they find Jordan McLaughlin?
I would say the best place to go is my Instagram, because then you know, you can kind of access my website from there. At least right now, the URL of my website is a little complicated because I don't pay for the domain name, so it's kind of all over the place. But you can access it through my Instagram, and my Instagram is Doomsday, like the end of the world, getting a little relevant now, but Doomsday underscore soiree, like the party, SOIREE. Right. So Doomsday underscore soiree is my Instagram, and that's where I post all of my art and film related stuff. And then there's a little sort of link to my website where some of my films are at, and other artwork and whatever else I throw up there. But that's about it.
Well, you know, I have to say, well, you know that the North Carolina School of the Arts is really a premier place to go to school. Scott, your dad and I, we visited, as you know, when you were in school, we visited several times on the campus, and it is amazing there.
I love it.
Really a good place if you want to go into filmmaking or animation or whatever, just go into any arts. North Carolina School of the Arts. My hat's off.
I loved it.
Love it, yeah.
The whole step of the way, because it was, it's small, and it's, you get a little bit of everything there. I mean, you have film, drama, dance, design and production, music, and you're all on this small campus, and all the classes are relatively small. You really get to know your professors. Even the academic professors are great, and they kind of in a lot of cases they kind of cater the content of their classes to be kind of more arts centric, because they know, you're there for the arts more so. But and then Winston-Salem, the city that it's in, is one of my true loves. I love Winston-Salem to the bottom of my heart. If I could stay there and do the kind of like work I want to do, I'd stay there in a heartbeat, because I kind of fell in love with that city while I was there. But yeah, the funny thing they say is that Winston-Salem is pretty small city, much smaller than Charlotte, but as far as cities go anyway, it's pretty small. And they always say that North Carolina School of the Arts is the best place, or Winston-Salem is the best place for that kind of school to be in, because there's really not a whole lot going on, and not a whole lot to distract you from
your
art. Because really, after 9 o'clock, pretty much all you can do is just, if you're feeling real reckless, just drive around and maybe pull into a cookout drive-through or something. But that's about all the trouble you can get into.
So you have to do your schoolwork. I love it.
Yeah.
That's amazing, because if there's a big city, you have too many distractions, and oh, I need to study. Oh yeah, but we're having a barbecue over here down the street.
I mean, there are. The other thing about Winston is it's kind of, you can find cool things to do, but it's like kind of under the radar. It's a little like, you got to find the cool places, and then you can see some of the cool stuff that's going on. But it definitely is, you've got to really search for, which makes it fun. It's fun for me, at least, and it's not as overwhelming. If it was a huge city and it was like, I could do 40 different things, or work on my film, or I'd be overwhelmed. Who knows what I'm. But
yeah, I gotta say that a highlight of not only me living in Charlotte, North Carolina, but a highlight of my life, and I really mean this. I told people that one of the highlights of my life is meeting you. Seriously, I mean, meeting a young kid like yourself. And I have to admit, when your dad told me about you, I kind of looked at it a little bit. I love Scott, but I'm saying, he used to get this, 15, he can't have done all of this. And I met you and my mouth dropped. But I kind of had a little doubt. But so that's why I'm saying that meeting you has really been a highlight of my life. And kind of hanging out with you, kind of being with you a little bit at the school and everything. I kind of feel like I'm a little part of your life there.
That's what I was gonna say. You're an honorary member of the family, for sure.
Yeah,
you can ask anybody on both sides. They'll say.
I
Uncle Alex.
Yeah, that's yes. I have been dubbed that. Yes, I have. And I really gotta say hello to everybody. Hello to Scott, your mom, Victoria, Gaga, everybody,
Yeah.
Everybody.
That's what I got you on my phone. See, hold on. Is it backwards or is it forward?
No, it's forward. Oh, there it is. Yes, yes. Now I'm really excited now. It's official. It's definitely official, But hey, like this has been great, man. It's been wonderful, man. Anything else you gotta say? I almost don't want to let you off the screen.
I know, we could talk for a while if we got too crazy.
Yeah, because it was, I haven't seen you physically for a while, because I've been out in Charlotte for about a few years, but I think about you guys a lot, man, and it's good to see you, man. I'm looking forward to some good things that you're doing.
Oh yeah. And I know I've said this in the recent past, but there's a little Alex folk kind of role in local haunts that
hey,
little
gotta do it for you, man.
We'll see.
Looking forward to it, man. It's been great. It really has. Like I said, it's just to meet you has been a highlight of my life, because of who you are, what you've done at such a young age, and in the head that you have. You're not the normal little young kid that's out there with the video games and stuff. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying that you a few notches above the people your age, and I really appreciate that. I've always appreciated that. I appreciate your family, everybody. Hey, damn it. Hello, everybody. I love it. Miss you guys. I really do. Love you guys a lot. But yeah, so is it anything else you want to say? Okay, we know how to reach you. Can you say that again in case anybody want to write it down or write down where to find you or something? Uh, Kyle is not with us right now, and he usually has that put up on the screen. But yeah, he couldn't be here tonight. But just kind of say that again, so in case people want to write it down or something to find out how to reach you or something. Your Instagram or whatever.
So the best place would be my Instagram page, because then you can kind of redirect to my website, and that's Doomsday, one word, like the apocalypse, Doomsday, _ soiree, SOIREE, and no spaces, Doomsday soiree, _ soiree, Doomsday _
All right.
But yeah.
But Jordan, I gotta say again, man, this has been a wonderful treat for me.
Me too. I've been, ever since you told me about it, I've been looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man.
Because I knew once you and I get in the same get together, who knows what can happen.
Yes, yes. And there's other things happening. I'm thinking back on some of those things we used to do back. I'm reminiscing a little bit. I used to do a few things.
Yeah.
There was a place we would go to and have breakfast. I can't remember the name of it.
Was it when we would meet about the stranger? Was
Yeah.
that something different? The Shoney's?
That too. That too. But there was another place we would go to, and there was this little girl that can't remember her name, but she was really intelligent in her what was I
Was
forgot.
it Las Margaritas?
Yes.
Las Margaritas,
yeah. That was it. Yes. Yeah. Tell them I said hello over there, by the way.
I will. I think.
Well, but you're in Texas. That's
right. Right. But
Yeah.
I think my dad and my grandma still do it.
Victoria, everybody, tell them I said hello. Tell Gaga, everybody, hello for me. And when you go over there to Los Margaritas, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell them I said hello. Thinking about it. Thinking about all you guys. Anyway, Jordan, God bless you. And we got to do this again. And God bless you in LA and Warner Brothers and all of that good stuff. And hey, keep me posted. And I think there was a movie like this, but let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Much love, Uncle Alex.
Oh, definitely. Love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. And, okay, now, next, what is it on the next, we're having, we're going to do a rerun for our show on Friday. No, is this Friday? This is...
I think today is Friday. I'm losing track of days too.
Monday the 1st. Yes, we have a rerun. I think we are going to rerun our show with Christian Ford. We're not going to be able to do it live, so we're going to treat you to another run of Christian Ford's show we did, because both Kyle and I, we have other things we have to do. But looking forward for you guys to watch Christian Ford, and we'll see you again. All righty? And thanks a lot for watching. All righty. Good night, everybody. Thanks a lot.